never make assumptions. Because I assumed that this wasn't going to work, that the residents would get nothing from it, that it was a waste of time. But no, it was absolutely fantastic, and I would do it 1,000 times over.
On the 27th of November 2010, 20 residents of South London care homes, many living with dementia, participated in a remarkable promenade performance at the British Museum. Inspired by the exhibition of the Egyptian Book of the Dead, the show was part of the Modernisation Initiative's commitment to raising public awareness around death and dying. The participants were joined by professional performers on a journey that would begin and end at Tower Bridge, a London landmark that had always meant something special to everyone.
Excuse me, madam. Yes, you. The lights are red, which means I need you to clear the bridge, please, now.
We're all right, darling, aren't we? Nice seeing you.
The performance set off from the museum's Great Court, moving on through the Welcome Gallery of Living and Dying to the Asian galleries in the North Wing, on its way passing objects that illuminated key moments of the human journey from many of the world's cultures. And as if echoing the ritual purpose of these artworks, each participant brought with them a personally meaningful image embroidered on a square of coloured silk.
And Reg chose to have embroidered on it an image of a woman holding a baby.
For Reg, a mother and child symbolised our collective responsibility for our children and their future. The project had begun 4 months earlier in London care homes. The decision to offer the project to a community in which many were living with dementia meant that the challenge of opening up conversations around death and dying would not be addressed as directly as it might have been in other contexts.
Remember that song? Falling in love again. What am I?
Instead, Rosetta Life put the emphasis on living by encouraging people to recall events and places in their lives that mattered.
I bet you lot got some stories, haven't you?
Oh, I've got a big one.
Have you? Right then, let's hear it.
No, I can't tell you now.
What town?
Ballymorse.
Ballymorse.
Yeah, County Slacor.
What Rosetta Life does so well is that they spend time listening to the person, hearing their stories.
Stories that later would be woven into the fabric of a musical theatre event.
You didn't ask people to talk about something that they wouldn't know about or would have had a real struggle to have a view about. You went through talking about things that were important and that were associated with emotions.
Eileen, didn't you see a big funeral procession going by on Tower Bridge one time?
Yeah. It appears that the person who died was a woman and her husband had had a row and didn't make it up. But when the lady died, he bought a wreath. Well, he wasn't at the funeral, was he?
Inevitably, once you're in a care home, you're a little bit outside of the world, you're a little bit outside of society. So to have these people, us, coming into their space and turning the spotlight on them and saying, this is about you. We want to know about you, about your life, your memories, what's important to you. Well, all human beings respond to that. Hearing the voice of people and understanding that people have a voice is so fundamental. What is unique about Rosetta Life is the way they put it all together in a bigger setting.
Hello everyone, good morning. We're going to begin our session.
A few weeks after the initial care home sessions, participants were invited to a series of workshops at the National Theatre Studio.
With our little song that we use.
With a director, actors and musicians on board, people were encouraged to share their stories. An informal show was in the making.
I'd like to say my name.
Edward.
Good morning.
These were big days out, where the warmth and skills of the performers created an atmosphere of laughter and trust.
Say my name.
Jean. Well done. Good morning, I'd like to say my name. My name's Eileen.
Dementia itself was forgotten as people plucked up the courage to have their say.
I often found that young boys would say to me, they can't run. This was mainly because usually lack of confidence and the fact that they were very often overweight. So I used to do a little...
The thing is that we just need to make sure that we hear people and we don't ignore them.
Instead of using the words, I can't.
Having an audience makes you feel more alive.
I can.
It reminds you of who you are.
Joy? Yes?
Where are you going?
I'm going to Mount Snowdon.
Who are you with, Joy?
I'm going with Jean.
And simple techniques can reconnect you with sensations you may have forgotten.
So, how does my hand feel?
Lukewarm.
Like trying to visualize a journey to the mountains.
Is it beautiful?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
And we're going to jump off.
You don't expect me to jump from there, do you?
So often people say, well, if I've got dementia, then there's nothing you can do.
And we feel so warm. I'm going to make you warm.
Of course, there's a lot you could do to improve the quality of life.
So what we're going to do is hold each other's hand.
But what we have to do is be able to trigger those bits of the brain that allow the person to contribute. And that can be through music, through theatre, through touch. But it doesn't mean just because you've got dementia that you can't participate. It is amazing. You get the right song and the person knows all the words and that sense of joy. The songs that we drew out were the songs that had real meaning. They were the songs that, when we first sang them, brought tears to eyes, that everybody knew the words of, that everybody suddenly was there. I'm Forever Blowing Bubbles, Danny Boy, Paddy McGinty's Goat. Those were the songs.
I'd hammer out the love between my brothers and my sisters. Oh.
So for us, we might think, oh, hang on a minute, let's change the record, let's do something different. But actually that meant reassurance, it meant connection, it meant all of those things.
I'd ring it in the evening, all over this line. Roland! I'd ring out a warning. I'd ring out a warning.
What is a life about, you know? And then we're dead, and then we're dust, and then it's all gone. So
all over this land.
I mean, it's only ever in the moment, isn't it? I don't know.
There are varying degrees of dementia. Some people, like Patrick, may appear quite hard to reach. And yet things are not always as they seem.
Patrick, can you remember where you first heard Paddy McGinty's Goat?
I did,
Were you a boy?
yeah.
Were you a little boy?
Yeah.
And did you used to sing the song? For me, being an actor is about connecting in a very powerful way with an audience.
With a glass of Guinness in your hand.
You bring that into play in this work, in the sense that now your audience is that person who's right there in the space with you.
Mr. Patrick McGinty, an Irishman of note.
That encounter, that afternoon, was a joyful encounter between human beings around a song that he remembered.
He found it was a bill, and now
I mean, Patrick couldn't speak, but his eyes were absolutely with you, alive and clear.
they each wear a bolster beneath their petticoat.
We connected through song and found that was a marvellous way of getting to people's deep memories.
And when it got over the bridge, she said, give us that wreath. And she slung it out the window and The person who was walking along said it sailed right over the bridge and went in the water. That's the truth, that is. The truth. It's like that down Burma, see? We're like that.
Memories like Eileen's were to provide the starting point of the next much more ambitious stage of the project. The transformation of people's stories into a show that would be performed by care home residents and actors in public at the British Museum.
I can't quite remember how it goes.
Is it?
When you're smiling,
when you're smiling, the whole world smiles with you.
We always have to ask ourselves whenever a project happens, why here?
Oh, that's good.
And actually, if the British Museum is just being used as a pretty backdrop, or because we're quite a big organisation, it's good to have our logo on something, it doesn't work for us. It's got to work for the participants first and foremost, but it's also got to encourage those participants and a wider audience in this case to engage with collections.
This stage of the project began with a visit to an exhibition. The Ancient Egyptian Book of the Dead is a collection of images and texts designed to help the ancients on their journey through the afterlife. It was to inspire the journey through life concept of the eventual performance.
A sunshine with a smiley face on it.
And the embroidering of the images that had such special meaning for the participants.
And it all felt completely right. And the idea of the participants creating objects with their tapestries, and the idea of the procession with the Chinese funerary procession that's in the middle of the Asia Galleries, and using the kind of totem figure which is based on a Solomon Islands figure. All of those things just interconnected so beautifully that the performance found its home in the British Museum rather than it being something that was additional or an add-on or just to reach out to a particular audience. It really felt embedded in what we did.
For the residents, I think, and for myself and what I saw, the one-to-one interaction and the relationship building for me, I thought was very special.
It was a great opportunity to meet other people and hear their stories and watch their characters, which was quite eye-opening, quite useful to me.
Bringing 20 elderly people in wheelchairs, many with dementia, to perform at the British Museum was a considerable challenge. For those with the responsibility of making it happen, it had to be worth it.
I felt so moved by the whole experience. Scepticism to being moved and to feel pride in everything that you did.
I think I was partly overjoyed by the dedication and the enthusiasm and the energy of the residential care staff, who were absolutely phenomenal.
It is thinking outside the box sometimes. This was, for me, an impossibility that came true, I think.
Yeah.
If there was ever anything difficult, what would your mother do? She would say,
"Come on now, Gladys, come on, Lily, you can do it."
Offering care home residents a public platform in such epic surroundings was a deliberate challenge to the widespread view that life in a care home means being forgotten.
I mean, these are awesome spaces, they're awesome objects, and the fact that these participants so willingly and happily got up underneath the lights and shared their stories, I think if people did hold those perceptions of older people, particularly older people's in care, before they saw this performance, they wouldn't really be able to hold them afterwards.
I would say it lifted their spirits, it gave them a sense of being as well, didn't it? It was all about them, done in a very clever way, and I think it's had a long-lasting memory on a lot of our residents.
Yeah.
The experience was also profoundly moving for the audience, many of whom had never expected to see their elderly loved ones empowered in public in this way.
She cried a few tears, didn't she?
She did, yeah.
I think pride of you as well, of her dad being there.
The project would not have been possible without building a unique set of partnerships.
I carry your heart.
Probably the best way to describe the National Theatre Studio is it's a department of the National Theatre where we experiment new work and new ideas for productions ultimately. So this was a really special project. We have done it once before, and we're doing another project with Rosetta Life next week.
But what was really exciting for us about this is that we were able to partner with a creative organisation in Rosetta Life, which definitely did things very dynamically, very creatively, that we couldn't possibly have done ourselves, even if we'd have had the time and the staff and all the rest of it to do this kind of work.
And you were telling me about your sister. She taught you how to sew.
Yeah, it was very good. Very good. She's still good.
And the great thing about the modernisation initiative for end of life care being involved in the project was that we also knew that it was grounded in something that would have an incredible legacy within healthcare, which is something that the British Museum can't hope to achieve on its own, and Rosetta Life can only hope to achieve so much of. Whereas the partnership was great because it was big organisations coming together in an exciting way that you hope will bring change, and that's the point of partnership, really.
When everyone had explained their images, they moved through to the Asian galleries, where the actors played back to them scenes from their youth.
But I just saw a butterfly.
You were lucky.
Yes. And there was a fare, but it's a shilling to get in.
There were regrets for missed opportunities and things that might have been different.
I didn't have a shilling.
Oh, ask me and I would have given it to you.
Thank you. She never fitted in the family. Never fitted in.
And so sad memories were left behind, and everyone embraced the here and now, which they celebrated through music and dance.
I was also amazed at how much could be done over a relatively short amount of time to engage participants and get them to a point where they were comfortable working within the museum space, working with slightly different people all the time who were cropping up to get engaged in the project, supporting them to share their stories in a way that they were comfortable with, interacting with the museum and the collections, and then creating something where they felt confident enough to take part in a participatory way within the museum space. So I think it's really changed my ideas of what's possible.
Towards the end, the dance arrived at Tower Bridge, which had come to represent a kind of gateway to the hereafter, a threshold from which one could look back and take stock of the life that had passed.
Look, our friends are gathered here at the bridge, watching, waiting for the gates to open.
Most of the audience, and the care staff who attended, were alert to these themes.
See that butterfly, huh?
Reg, too, understood that the show explored issues around death and dying.
Dealt with it, and death as well. We were very fearful of death, it seemed, but if you visit a museum like that, and you see how Asians dealt with it, it gives you confidence.
Yet it's harder to say whether those living with dementia actually linked the experience of the show with their own mortality. But perhaps the very act of telling your story and being heard in such special surroundings was enough. And the afterglow of a great night out would encourage staff and relatives to begin talking about these issues later.
What we should never make the assumption is that people with dementia are not aware. I am so struck when I talk to carers and they've said to me, my wife didn't talk for several years and then at death she said, I love you or thank you.
We all need someone to understand us. And when all our hearts are free of pain and suffering and can appreciate the love we have all known and given, we can all help each other move on.
Sometimes tempted to betray, yet we know we learned to love well. Travelled wide, grown up together.
And I think that what we can do is knowing the person, knowing what they like, we could individualise the comfort care that we give, and that is specialist care. It's not giving care, but it's actually achieving what's really important to that person right up until death. And I think that we should struggle for that for every single person, because that's what we would all want, isn't it?
May our legacy be the love we have known.
That often by not talking about it, we're not able to know what's really important to that person to achieve the quality of life of excellence right up until death, because we don't talk about it, so we don't ask them.
We are the guides.
John.
Joy.
Guy.
Liz.
We are your guides.
And these are our musicians.
And these are our friends. May our legacy
be the love we have known,
that has lightened our hearts
in the balance of
love and truth. Farewell.
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 And thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.